In every garden, there lies a hidden story waiting to be told. A story not only of plants and soil, but of the imagination that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, a space where we celebrate creativity, resourcefulness, and the quiet beauty of life's simplest details. Here, we believe that what others see as waste can become wonder, and what seems broken can grow into something meaningful. Before we begin, it is important to share a gentle note. This content has been thoughtfully composed with the help of AI. It is designed to inspire, to guide, and to bring ideas closer to you in a voice that feels warm and human. While the hands of technology shape these words, the heart of the message remains deeply human, a reflection of our shared longing for beauty, peace, and connection with the world around us. As you listen, allow the words to flow gently, like sunlight through leaves or water across stone. Let the story soothe you, inviting you to imagine new ways of creating, transforming, and finding joy in your own space. Each idea you hear has been chosen not just for its practicality, but for the sense of calm it brings, reminding us that crafting with intention is also a form of care for the soul. And if you feel a spark here, if even one thought makes you smile or one image stays with you, I warmly invite you to be part of our journey. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio, and together let us continue weaving stories, growing ideas, and nurturing beauty in every corner of our lives. Inspiration often begins with the simplest of objects, the things we usually overlook, the items most people would throw away without a second thought. Observe closely, imitate what inspires you, and then modify it to make it your own. That is the essence of creative gardening, and nowhere is it more evident than in the humble transformation of an old tire into a thriving flower bed. Imagine a summer afternoon where the air is warm, filled with the gentle hum of bees. At the corner of the garden, 3 discarded tires, once dull and black, now shine with new purpose. Each one has been carefully cut, arranged in the shape of a blooming flower, and painted with cheerful coats of turquoise, coral red, and mustard yellow. The hand-painted details curve like vines along the rubber edges, softening their roughness into something alive with character. Inside these rings of color, tomato plants grow tall and proud, their fruits beginning to blush under the golden sun. Around them, marigolds burst in shades of orange and yellow, while basil releases a sweet fragrance into the warm breeze. It is not just a planter, it is a story of renewal. Something forgotten has found a second life, bringing both beauty and nourishment to the space it inhabits. The beauty of this idea lies not only in its vibrant appearance, but also in its practicality. Tires are durable, naturally resistant to weather, and their circular shape makes them perfect for holding soil. They can be stacked, arranged in playful designs, or spread out across the garden to form clusters of color and growth. For families on a budget, this is more than decoration. It's an accessible way to grow food, to teach children about sustainability, and to let creativity bloom right in the backyard. There is a quiet satisfaction in knowing that what once sat useless in a corner now provides life. Each time you walk past the painted tires and see the tomatoes ripening, you're reminded of the power of imagination. And perhaps, as you share the harvest with neighbors or watch children marvel at the colors, you'll realize that this is more than recycling. It's an act of hope, a statement that beauty can come from the overlooked. In the end, a simple tire can teach us what many forget. Growth is always possible, even from the most unexpected places. Sometimes beauty doesn't need to arrive in grand gestures. It can appear in small, glowing details that quietly transform the way we see our space. With creative eyes, a discarded wine bottle no longer represents waste, but instead becomes a lantern of warmth along a garden path. This is the art of observing what exists, imitating the sparks of inspiration we've seen before, and modifying them until they feel like our own. Imagine walking through a garden at twilight. The air is cooler, carrying the fragrance of jasmine and damp earth. Along the stone path, glass bottles once emptied in celebration now stand reborn, pressed into handmade cement bases. Each bottle is turned upside down, a bulb tucked gently inside, casting a golden glow that spills outward like halos upon the petals and leaves. The green glass bends the light in soft ripples, like fireflies caught in stillness. It's a humble design, yet it holds undeniable charm. There's something poetic about using remnants of shared moments, bottles that once accompanied laughter and stories, turning them into markers of light for quiet evenings. Every step down the pathway is accompanied by a soft reminder that beauty does not always need to be bought new. Sometimes it waits in what we already have. The practicality is as powerful as the symbolism. These lamps are sturdy, weather-resistant, and remarkably easy to make. A bit of cement, a bottle, and a bulb are all it takes to craft something that feels timeless. For anyone seeking to add ambience to their backyard without a heavy budget, this idea is a gift. It turns discarded glass into guiding stars, perfect for gatherings, quiet reflections, or simply illuminating the garden when night begins to fall. As neighbors stop to admire the glow, or as family members linger outside a little longer, the pathway becomes more than a path. It becomes an experience. The bottles, once overlooked, now hold memory, atmosphere, and a sense of belonging to the garden. At the heart of this idea lies a quiet truth. Sustainability can be beautiful. In every step down that softly lit walkway, we're reminded that light doesn't only come from electricity. It comes from imagination, from hands willing to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And in that glow, both garden and spirit find warmth. In every garden, life moves in quiet circles, water nourishing soil, soil raising plants, and plants feeding creatures great and small. What if something as simple as a discarded plastic bottle could join that circle, bringing balance where once there was only waste? That is the beauty of the plastic bottle bird bath. It invites us to observe what's around us, to imitate simple acts of care, and to modify forgotten items until they become meaningful again. Picture a summer morning, when the air is soft and the leaves are still damp from the night. Hanging gently from a tree branch, a clear plastic bottle sways in the breeze. Painted with pale strokes of blue around the rim, it holds a shallow pool of water that glitters in the sunlight. Sparrows and finches arrive first, drawn by the stillness. They perch, drink, and flutter with delight, scattering droplets like tiny rain. Each splash falls to the earth below, beating upon the leaves of tomato vines and basil plants, offering unexpected nourishment. It is a scene both delicate and profound. The bottle, once destined for the trash, has become a giver of life. Not only does it serve the birds, but it quietly irrigates the plants beneath it, proving that design can be both simple and generous. There is no soil inside the bottle, no roots growing through its frame, and yet it nurtures. This transformation teaches us an important lesson. Sustainability is not about perfection, but about intention. With a piece of twine, a touch of paint, and a bit of patience, anyone can recreate this idea in their backyard. It costs almost nothing, but the reward is immeasurable. The joy of watching birds dance in water, the surprise of healthier plants thriving under their gentle rainfall, the calm of knowing we have given new purpose to something overlooked. For families, this project becomes more than decoration. It becomes a story to share with children about respect for nature, about finding joy in the ordinary, and about how even waste can bring beauty. Each time you look at that swaying bottle, you see more than plastic. You see connection, balance, and a reminder that small acts of care can ripple into something greater. In the end, the bird bath is not just for the birds, nor just for the garden. It is for us too, a symbol of how creativity can turn even the simplest trash into a quiet gift of life. When the sun fades and evening begins to settle, there is something magical about a quiet light that awakens not to dazzle, but to soothe. A simple cardboard box, once discarded and unnoticed, can be cut, shaped, and transformed into a lamp that brings warmth to the garden. The process follows the same rhythm of creative living. Observe, imitate, then modify. Take what already exists, borrow inspiration from geometry, and reimagine it with your own hands. Picture a rustic garden table resting under a pergola. Herbs freshly watered give off the scent of mint and rosemary, while the air grows cooler as twilight deepens. At the center of the table, a cardboard lamp begins to glow. Each side is cut with intention, hexagons, petals, and lines that fit together like a puzzle of light. As the bulb shines gently within, shadows stretch across the wall in honeycomb shapes and floral bursts, dancing as the breeze stirs the leaves nearby. The beauty lies not only in the play of light but in the honesty of the material. Corrugated edges remain visible, reminding us of the lamp's humble origins. The cardboard is not hidden, not disguised, but celebrated for its texture and history. This is what makes the lamp both grounding and poetic. A reminder that elegance does not need to come from expensive things, but from care and creativity. For those who love DIY, the project is remarkably approachable. With nothing more than cardboard sheets, a craft knife, glue, and a small bulb, the lamp takes shape in an afternoon. Children can help trace patterns, while adults cut and assemble. And when night falls, the glow feels personal, as though it carries the fingerprints of those who created it. Placed among potted herbs or beside a tray of tea, the lamp changes the atmosphere of the garden. It turns ordinary evenings into moments of reflection. Guests pause to admire the shifting patterns, conversations soften under its light, and suddenly the garden feels less like a backyard and more like a sanctuary. This design speaks to the heart of sustainable beauty, taking what is fragile and overlooked and allowing it to shine. A cardboard lamp may not last forever, but while it does, it holds within it a lesson that light, in every sense, is something we can create with our own hands. Sometimes beauty hides in the most unexpected of places, waiting for a gentle hand to bring it forth. A crumpled food container, a broken lid, or a faded plastic bag might seem like nothing more than waste. But with a little heat and imagination, these forgotten pieces can be reshaped into something magical, small creatures that bring life and wonder to the garden. This is where the cycle of observe, imitate, and modify shows its charm, turning what is useless into art that smiles back at us. Picture a flower bed in the late afternoon. The sun lies low, scattering golden light through the tall stems of sunflowers and the delicate petals of marigolds. Tucked quietly among them rests a tiny rabbit, its form curved from melted plastic, its ears long and soft in shape, though its surface gleams faintly with recycled shine. Not far away, a bird with bright orange wings perches on the soil, and a caterpillar coils in playful green. Children spot them first, crouching low with wide eyes, their laughter mixing with the hum of bees. The details make these figures enchanting. Some still carry faint traces of labels, a reminder of soda bottles and snack packaging from another life. But instead of looking out of place, these imperfections add honesty to their new forms. They are not meant to be flawless sculptures. They are tokens of transformation, proof that waste can find a second story. Creating them is as much joy as placing them. With old plastic, a safe heat source, and simple shaping tools, anyone can mold tiny animals or figures to hide in garden corners. Painted with bright colors, they become accents of surprise, discovered like hidden treasures among leaves and blossoms. They do not need to move to feel alive. Their presence is enough to spark curiosity and delight. For families, this project brings more than decoration. It is a way to teach children creativity and responsibility, showing them that nothing is truly worthless when imagination takes the lead. And for gardeners, it is a quiet reminder that even the smallest details can change the spirit of a space. In the stillness of the garden, these creatures rest, humble guardians of the soil, silent witnesses of growth. They do not bloom, but they belong. And in their belonging, they teach us a truth as tender as the flowers around them. Beauty does not always begin beautiful. It becomes beautiful through the hands that believe in it. There is a certain poetry in fire, the way it draws people close, the way laughter always seems louder when smoke curls into the evening air. A rusted barrel, once left to decay, can be reborn as the beating heart of a summer gathering. Observe its shape, imitate the curves of a classic grill, and modify it with a touch of vision. Suddenly, what once stood forgotten becomes the soul of the backyard. Picture the scene at dusk. The garden is alive with the scent of rosemary and thyme planted just beside the grill. Their fragrance swirls into the air as smoke rises from glowing charcoal. The grill itself, built from a barrel weathered by time, now stands proudly on the strong base of two discarded car rims, welded together with care. Painted in matte black, its surface is decorated with bold strokes of orange flames that dance even without the fire. It hums with purpose, the warmth seeping through the metal, ready to cook and to gather. Around it, family and friends hold plates, their faces glowing in the light of both fire and joy. The sizzle of meat, the crackle of wood, the gentle hiss of oil dripping onto the coals. Every sound becomes part of the evening's rhythm. Children dart between the chairs while adults share stories, their voices blending into the music of a summer night. And at the center of it all, the barrel grill burns not just with heat, but with life. What makes this design so special is its resilience. The metal, though old, carries strength. The rims, once rolling cars down highways, now serve as steadfast legs for a new purpose. It may not look sleek or polished, but that is its charm. It is honest, functional, and filled with character. A reminder that usefulness never truly fades, it only waits for renewal. For those who build it, the process itself becomes part of the memory. Each weld, each brush of paint, is a step toward creating more than a grill. It is creating a space where people gather, where bonds are strengthened, where food is shared not just for the body but for the spirit. In the end, the rusty barrel stands as proof of transformation. From neglect to necessity, from waste to wonder, it reminds us that even the most ordinary scrap can carry extraordinary warmth. Every garden carries its own stories, whispered in the rustle of leaves and the glow of light that lingers after sunset. Some stories are familiar, others strange and playful, like a lamp shaped from two old plates, reborn as a tiny UFO hovering above the garden. It is a reminder that design doesn't always need to be serious. Sometimes it can be whimsical, inviting us to smile at the unexpected. Observe the everyday, imitate what fascinates, and modify until imagination becomes reality. Picture twilight settling across the backyard. The air is touched with the scent of mint and dusk, and just above the pergola, a curious light begins to shine. At first glance, it looks like a traveler from the stars, floating quietly in the night. But as you step closer, the truth reveals itself. Two plates once stacked for suppers, now painted silver with strokes of midnight blue, dotted with tiny specks like stars. Joined edge to edge, they cradle a bulb that glows warmly, casting a circle of light on the garden floor below. Children glance upward, their eyes wide with wonder. To them, it is magic, a UFO that has landed just for them. Adults smile knowingly, charmed not by mystery but by memory, recalling dinners and conversations those plates once served. Now, instead of food, they serve light, feeding not the body but the atmosphere of the space. The charm of this project lies in its simplicity. Old plates are easy to find, and with a bit of paint, some sturdy wire, and a light bulb, the transformation is quick and satisfying. It costs almost nothing, yet it brings with it a glow that feels priceless. For gatherings in the garden, the lamp becomes both functional and conversational. It illuminates herbs growing in pots, casts playful shadows on leaves, and sparks laughter when guests realize the UFO is nothing more than yesterday's dishes. More than decoration, this design is about perspective. It teaches us that even the most ordinary object can take on extraordinary character if we allow ourselves to play. By looking at old plates and seeing a spaceship, we rediscover the childlike joy of imagination. And when that joy shines down in golden light on summer evenings, the garden itself feels more alive, familiar, yet filled with wonder. There is a rhythm in nature that often repeats itself. Hexagons and honeycombs, spirals and shells, patterns in leaves. When we look closely and let ourselves be inspired, Even the most ordinary materials can echo this rhythm. That is the gift of the PVC hydroponic wall, an elegant blend of geometry, function, and renewal. It is the art of observing the patterns of nature, imitating their beauty, and modifying discarded pipes into something alive. Imagine a blank brick wall at the edge of a backyard. Once plain and unused, it now rises like a sculpture, alive with color and growth. PVC pipes, once destined for trash, have been cut and arranged into a honeycomb design. Each hexagonal pocket holds a burst of life: soft lettuce, fragrant mint, crisp oregano, and tiny strawberries spilling over the edges. Painted in playful pastel tones, the structure feels both modern and natural, like candy woven into the architecture of the garden. Sunlight filters through the leaves, casting delicate shadows on the wall. Bees hover close, drawn to the nearby blooms, while droplets of water whisper through the clear tubing that feeds each plant. There is no soil here, no mess of earth. Only water, motion, and the quiet strength of roots reaching for nourishment. The design is as efficient as it is beautiful, proof that sustainability and art can share the same space. The practicality is undeniable. Hydroponics allows plants to thrive with less water, making it a solution not just for decoration but for food security. For families with limited space, this vertical design is a gift, transforming walls into gardens, corners into harvests. Children can pluck fresh strawberries, neighbors can admire the innovation, and all the while, the wall continues to feed and inspire. Yet beyond its usefulness, there is something poetic in its presence. What was once plumbing now holds life. Pipes that once carried waste or water now carry hope and nourishment. This transformation reminds us that change does not need to be grand. It can be built piece by piece, pocket by pocket, until something extraordinary rises before us. In the end, the PVC hydroponic wall is more than a structure. It is a statement that beauty is not only in flowers, but in systems that work, in patterns that sustain, in designs that honor both nature and imagination. And as you stand before it, you see not just plants, but a living artwork breathing against the wall. Some creations do not bloom from soil or rise with roots. They drift quietly in the air, weightless yet full of meaning. A crinkled brown paper bag, once used to carry groceries, can be folded, shaped, and lifted into the garden as origami that floats like secrets in the breeze. It is the simple practice of looking again at what we already have, of imitating familiar folds, and modifying them into something poetic. Picture a quiet afternoon. The garden rests in golden light, herbs spilling over terracotta pots, and the wooden wall warm from the sun. Above it all, strands of twine hold delicate figures cut from paper bags. Some are birds mid-flight, wings caught forever in motion. Others are blossoms or stars, each crease visible, each fold telling the story of hands that shaped them. The breeze stirs and they turn gently, shadows scattering across the ground like fleeting memories. The beauty lies not in perfection, but in the honesty of the material. Creases remain, textures show, and sometimes faint words or logos from the bag's past life peek through. Yet these traces make the origami even more human. They carry history into their second life, reminding us that transformation does not erase the past. It builds upon it. Creating them is a ritual of mindfulness. Folding paper slows the world, inviting patience. Children delight in making cranes or stars, while adults find quiet satisfaction in stringing them together, watching their simple shapes become a chorus of movement when hung in the garden. It is decoration, yes, but it is also meditation, a way of placing intention in the air. When guests step into the backyard, their eyes lift almost instinctively. They smile at the unexpected sight. Paper birds drifting above herbs, stars turning in the light. The scene requires no glitter, no polish. Its elegance comes from the way it captures wind and sun, how it turns discarded material into a fleeting moment of beauty. This design is more than a craft. It is an invitation to see the ordinary differently, to remember that even what feels fragile and temporary can carry grace. And when the day ends and the shadows lengthen, the origami still whispers in the fading light, a gentle reminder that even the simplest things can teach us how to float. Art does not always need softness to belong in a garden. Sometimes, it takes the shape of steel and rust, surprising us with its presence yet blending seamlessly with petals and stems. A forgotten pile of screws, chains, and bolts can be reimagined into a serpent, an emblem of strength and creativity. This is the spirit of transformation. Observe what feels broken, imitate the flow of nature, and modify the harsh into something harmonious. Imagine a summer garden alive with color. Lavender sways in the breeze, marigolds flash orange and gold, and between them, a figure rests quietly. At first it startles, a snake coiled along the edge of the bed. But then curiosity takes over, and you see its body is not flesh, but metal. Chains welded together arc smoothly into curves, screws and bolts form ridges like scales, and bearings gleam as watchful eyes. Painted in turquoise, orange, and copper, the sculpture catches light like fire woven into steel. It does not frighten, it fascinates. Children crouch close, their fingers tracing the painted ridges. Adults pause their steps, surprised by the artistry hidden among the blooms. The snake feels alive not because it moves, but because it belongs. It claims a space in the garden where steel and flowers meet, reminding us that beauty can exist in contrasts. The creation process itself is an act of vision, gathering scraps from garages or workshops, welding them into fluid shapes, and painting with bold strokes. Each step turns waste into wonder. For many, it becomes more than decoration. It is a statement of resilience. Metal that once built machines now becomes art that celebrates stillness. Placed at the border of a path or nestled between tall stems, the sculpture changes the atmosphere of the space. It tells a story of reinvention, of strength softened by creativity. And every time sunlight strikes its body, or raindrops cling to its painted curves, the garden feels richer for the surprise it holds. In the end, the metal snake is not just sculpture. It is proof that what seems rigid can be reshaped, that what feels lifeless can carry spirit. Among the softness of flowers, it rests, a guardian, a secret, a spark of imagination forged from forgotten steel. Not every garden treasure blooms from the ground. Some rise from walls, carrying stories of craft and imagination. A cardboard animal head, cut, layered, and painted by hand, can become both guardian and artwork, standing proudly against wood and ivy. This is the essence of creative transformation. To observe a discarded sheet of cardboard, imitate the patterns of nature, and modify them into something enduring. Picture a pergola bathed in golden light. Clay pots spill flowers at its base, while ivy curls upward, reaching toward the beams. On the wooden wall hangs a sculpture, an antelope's head, not carved from wood or molded from stone, but shaped from layered cardboard once bound for the bin. Corrugated ridges peek through the paint, a reminder of its humble beginnings. Yet, painted blossoms bloom across its surface. Pink roses, blue vines, and ferns that wind gracefully along its form. The sculpture casts soft shadows in the evening sun, its presence both quiet and commanding. It does not feel fragile, though it is born from fragile material. Instead, it feels wise, watching over the garden with calm patience. Guests notice it instantly. Some marvel at the detail, others smile at the irony that something so elegant was once no more than packaging. In every reaction, there is recognition of transformation. Making such a piece is an act of care. Each layer must be cut and aligned, each edge pressed together, each stroke of paint given with intention. It is a process that requires time, but rewards with permanence. Families can craft these heads together, choosing animals that carry meaning. Deer for grace, birds for freedom, antelopes for strength. And when mounted, they do more than decorate. They tell stories of creativity, of patience, of refusing to let waste stay wasted. Placed among flowers and fabrics, the cardboard head softens the line between indoors and outdoors. It turns a blank wall into a gallery, a garden into a sanctuary. In its quiet gaze lies a reminder. Beauty is not always found. Sometimes it is built, layer by layer, color by color, intention by intention. In the end, this wall art is not just craft. It is memory preserved in cardboard, a fragile thing made strong through vision. And as the garden changes with seasons, it remains a patient witness, proof that transformation is always possible. Some creations are not just objects. They are memories in motion, laughter suspended in the air, and beauty rooted in the earth. A simple tire, once forgotten in a corner, can become both a source of play and a vessel of growth. By observing its circular strength, imitating familiar swings, and modifying it with a touch of creativity, the upcycled tire swing with a planter base brings together joy and sustainability in one design. Picture a summer afternoon beneath the wide branches of a tree. The shade is cool, the grass soft underfoot, and from above hangs a painted tire, secured with thick rope. Its surface gleams with fresh blue paint, decorated with patterns of flowers and swirls. Children rush to it, their laughter spilling into the garden as they take turns swinging back and forth, their feet brushing the air as if they could kick the clouds. Beneath the swing, the tire holds another secret. The base has been filled with soil, turning it into a planter where marigolds, ivy, and basil spill outward in bright abundance. The flowers sway gently as the swing moves, their colors glowing in the sunlight, their fragrance mixing with the scent of fresh grass. It is both play and poetry, utility and beauty combined. The charm of this creation lies not only in its dual purpose, but in its symbolism. The swing gives children joy, teaching them that fun does not require expensive toys. The planter gives life, reminding everyone that growth can spring even from what seemed discarded. Together, they weave a story of balance between leisure and responsibility, between past and future. Building it is simple yet deeply rewarding. With just rope, paint, and soil, a single tire can be transformed in an afternoon. Families who create this project together find themselves not only crafting an object but also shaping memories. The laughter of children, the care of planting, the pride of watching flowers bloom, all become stitched into the fabric of the backyard. As evening falls and the swing slows in the breeze, the planter continues its quiet work, nurturing roots long after the children have gone inside. And in that stillness, the tire tells its truth. Life can be both playful and purposeful. Waste can be both joy and growth. And beauty can always be found in what we choose to create. There are some designs that feel like whispers of magic, small gestures that bring light to the quiet corners of the garden. A simple glass jar, once discarded, can be given new life when cradled in cement, glowing gently to guide footsteps along a path. This is the essence of creative living. Observe what lies forgotten, imitate the calm glow of lanterns, and modify them into something timeless yet deeply personal. Imagine evening descending upon the garden. The air cools, the scent of flowers deepens, and shadows stretch across the stones of the walkway. Along its edge, a row of glass jars glows softly from within. Each one is pressed firmly into a cement base, sturdy and strong, yet humble in design. Their green and amber glass bends the light into soft halos, pooling golden warmth across moss and petals. The path, once ordinary, now feels like an invitation, a trail of stars laid gently upon the earth. What makes this creation so powerful is its simplicity. The materials are modest: a jar, a bit of cement, a light source. Yet together, they transform the garden atmosphere, weaving both function and beauty into the landscape. Guests walking through pause to admire the glow, their steps slowing as they take in the unexpected elegance of recycled glass. Children might imagine fairy lanterns left behind by unseen hands, while adults appreciate the craftsmanship and sustainability. The process itself carries a rhythm. Filling molds with cement, pressing jars into place and waiting for them to set. It is patient work, but not complicated. And when the lights are placed inside, whether candles, bulbs, or solar LEDs, the satisfaction of seeing them glow is immediate. For the maker, it is a reward that feels both creative and grounding. Beyond aesthetics, these lanterns also serve a practical purpose. They mark pathways, guide evening walks, and add safety with their steady light. But more than that, they remind us of something gentle. That discarded objects can still shine, that fragility can be supported by strength, and that beauty often lives in the balance of opposites. Glass and cement, glow and shadow, past and present. In the end, these lanterns do more than illuminate, they inspire. They teach us that with a little vision, even the simplest materials can bring warmth to the night and turn a backyard into a place of quiet wonder. There is a quiet delight in watching life rise upward, climbing not through walls of stone, but through simple hands that give waste a second chance. A tin can, once emptied and forgotten, can become the cradle of fresh herbs when stacked and arranged into a vertical tower. This is the practice of observation turned into art, seeing value in the ordinary, imitating the growth of nature, and modifying leftovers into something functional and beautiful. Picture a bright morning in the backyard. In one corner, sunlight spills across a tower made of painted tin cans. Each can is filled with rich soil, sprouting green leaves of basil, mint, parsley, and oregano. Their fragrance mixes with the air, sharp and fresh, carrying the promise of flavor for the day's meals. The cans themselves gleam in cheerful coats of turquoise, yellow, and red, their surfaces showing a rustic charm where the paint chips slightly, revealing their story. This tower is more than decoration. It is a harvest standing tall. Herbs once scattered across beds now grow compactly in vertical layers, saving space while multiplying abundance. For small gardens, balconies, or even urban yards, it offers a way to bring green life into limited spaces. Children lean in curiously, helping to water the cans with a tiny jug, while adults pluck a handful of mint for tea or basil for a simmering pot of soup. The creation process is as approachable as it is rewarding. With only a drill for drainage holes, a bit of paint for color, and a simple frame for support, the tower can be assembled in an afternoon. The work invites creativity. Patterns painted on the cans, herbs arranged by color, or even flowers added for splashes of brightness. And as weeks pass, the tower becomes not just a project but a companion, growing and changing with care. Beyond its practicality, this herb tower carries a message of resourcefulness, proves that sustainability can be colorful and joyful, not austere. Every time you pick fresh herbs from a can that once held beans or soup, you are reminded that nothing is too small to be transformed. In the end, the Tin Can Tower is not only a garden feature but a story of renewal. It stands proudly, telling us that from simplicity comes abundance, and from what is thrown away, life can rise again. Fresh, fragrant, and full of possibility. Sometimes beauty is born from fractures. A broken pot, often seen as useless, can become the foundation for a world of imagination. With careful hands, its shards are rearranged not as waste, but as steps into a miniature landscape, one that feels magical yet rooted in nature. This is the essence of transformation. Observe the cracks, imitate the flow of a garden, and modify until the broken becomes whole in a new way. Picture a terracotta pot resting beneath a tree. Its rim is cracked, its side fractured, pieces scattered. Yet, instead of being discarded, it has been reassembled into a tiered garden. Soil fills the layers, each shard forming a terrace where succulents nestle, their fleshy leaves glowing in shades of green, red, and silver. Moss creeps gently between the pieces, softening the edges. Among them, small fairy houses stand, tiny ladders lead upward, and a pebble path winds like a secret trail into another world. Children gather around first, their eyes wide with wonder. To them, it is more than a planter. It is a village for fairies, alive with stories. Adults lean closer too, charmed by the creativity and patience it takes to turn brokenness into beauty. The succulents, resilient and slow-growing, mirror the spirit of the design. Strong in simplicity, thriving in little. The process of creating such a garden is as healing as the result. Sorting the broken pieces, arranging them into steps, planting each succulent in its place. Every action becomes an act of care. It teaches us that even when things shatter, they can still carry life and meaning. And for those who love gardening in small spaces, it offers a chance to craft something personal, detailed, and endlessly unique. As sunlight shifts, the tiny world comes alive in different ways. Morning light glistening on dew, afternoon shadows stretching across miniature doors, evening lanterns casting gentle glows if tucked nearby. Each moment feels like a scene from a story, reminding us that gardens are not only for growing food, but also for nurturing imagination. In the end, the Broken Pot Fairy Garden whispers a truth that touches both soil and soul. Nothing is too broken to be beautiful. With vision and care, fractures become features, and what once was discarded becomes a source of wonder, joy, and quiet inspiration. As we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to breathe in the calm that creativity brings. Every design, every small transformation is more than just a project. It is a reminder that beauty can rise from the simplest things, that joy can grow from what others might overlook. In the quiet rhythm of recycling, repainting, and reshaping, we discover not only new ways to decorate a garden, but also new ways to see life itself. Here at TERAFLORA Studio, we believe that inspiration lives in everyday objects, waiting for gentle hands and open hearts to bring them to life. A tire becomes a planter, a bottle becomes a lantern, and broken pieces become part of something whole again. These ideas are not just about making things, they are about nurturing a mindset of gratitude and wonder, where nothing is wasted and everything carries potential. Let these stories accompany you beyond this moment. Let them encourage you to try something new, to look differently at what surrounds you, and to embrace creativity not as a task, but as a way of slowing down, of caring for yourself, your home, and the earth. And if these reflections have brought you even a little peace or inspiration, I warmly invite you to continue walking this path with us. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio and become part of a growing circle that celebrates beauty, resourcefulness, and the art of living gently. Together, we will keep creating, keep discovering, and keep reminding ourselves that in every corner of life, there is always room for something beautiful to grow.